I don't want to be depressed or creatively burnt out to start taking action anymore. Now I sit down every week and I write down my fears around my creativity and slowly create a list of how I'm going to dismantle them. Andrew has this belief that to unlock your greatest creativity, you must face your greatest fears around it. Sounds like some Batman shit, but basically his concept was, if you want to unlock your creativity again, you have to do what you're most afraid of, which is lose your job. This sounded really scary because I don't want to go back to that life. I really, really like my life. But this is what I do. I come up with ideas, not for just a living, just to feel sane every day. That's what I do. And if I was either going to end up an alcoholic here, or I was going to end up an alcoholic back at home and deal with whatever was waiting for me back home. So I was willing to give anything a shot. So I had no choice. And just over 4.5 years ago, I quit my job at Droga5. I was a senior copywriter at Droga5, and I quit my job and faced my greatest fear, like Andrew calls it. This is a text I received the day I was about to do it. This is from my mom. This thing was the most scary thing I've ever done, to be honest. My brain panicked for weeks. Every time I ate a meal, every time I bought coffee, my brain panicked. And every week, I made myself little assignments on, I had to come up with a certain amount of money every week. And I bartended, I did odd jobs, I sold weed. I basically did everything to come up with money every week. And every week, my brain started to calm down and realize that I wasn't going to let myself down and I wasn't going to let myself starve. As that happened, my brain started to let go a little bit. And I started coming up with ideas again. I started coming up with ideas that were so fun. They were probably the best work I had come up with yet. Instead of making Super Bowl commercials, all I was doing was bartending and selling weed, but my brain was coming up with amazing ideas. None of this work followed best practices. Most of it was borderline illegal, but it was really good. It was really interesting. And as I came up with each idea, the work got better, and I got better, and the work got better, and more and more people started noticing it. And I started calling this place of no fear Mojo Supermarket. It was a dumb name for a place where creatives could come and get their mojo back. And what seems like overnight, probably to all of you, all of this happened. And we slowly became one of the hottest creative agencies out there. I won my first advertising award ever. I was on the Forbes list. And Ad Age called us the best small agency in the world. Really cool. But right as all this success started happening, and I was on these podcasts and all these things, the same feeling started creeping in. I started getting creatively blocked again. I would sit down, pen and paper, and nothing would come out. All my work seemed formulaic again. I was doing the same shit. I was out here giving talks and on podcasts and all these things, and I was regurgitating all the garbage that I had said before to some other audience, just like I was about to do earlier today. It was just a talk I'd given in the past, and I was about to lay it on you guys and walk away and drink a beer and go home. I forgot to take a screenshot of this, actually, for this presentation, but I wrote about this online a year ago. I wrote online, I was on LinkedIn, I was like, man, I just sat down, and I can't come up with anything, and I can't write. And this guy commented underneath, and he said, your company made tens of millions of dollars last year. Why do you care if you can write? But what that guy didn't understand is this is all I have. This is all that keeps me alive. Coming up with stuff every day is all that keeps me alive. This time, like that guy mentioned, I had a lot more money, so I tried a lot other things. I went around the world, I traveled every city, I went to art festivals, I did crazy, weird shit. None of it worked, because inspiration was never the problem. And I had to revisit Andrew's question one more time. I had to visit, what are you most afraid of? And as I thought about that, all this stuff, I was in people in advertising were writing about me all the time. I'd gotten so much attention in the advertising press, and a lot of it was really, really good. But your brain doesn't take that in, and a lot of it was really, really bad. My personal favorite one is, I can't tell if Mo from Mojo Supermarket is the real deal or Gary Vaynerchuk in a David Droga costume. People started noticing me in bars and restaurants and coming up to me, and some of them said really nice things, but some of them said terrible shit, because I was this young creative who had made all of this out of nothing. And I slowly realized that the fear that was creating this burnout was exactly that. I was afraid of what advertising people thought of me. This, I'm sure you guys have faced as well. So I sat down with Andrew, and we made a list of things, and made a list of things that I could do to slowly face this fear. I went to concerts and music festivals alone where there was a lot of people, so I could just practice being alone and not worry about what other people around me think. If you've been to a concert alone, the first 10 minutes, you're just panicking that everybody's looking at you. And then you realize, no, you fucking idiot, everybody's looking at that guy with a guitar, and nobody cares about you. And I started going to these different things and waiting just to feel alone in a crowd full of people and not feel judged. I don't have videos or anything from that time, but this is the only one I have. I was at a John Mayer concert, and the woman next to me decided to film me. This is how much I love John Mayer now. The next thing I did was, when we were winning awards, we were about to win our Grand Prix, and it was the first time I was about to go on stage to pick up an award. And we were named the second best creative company in the world at the one show. And instead of going to the stage and feeling like big man on campus, I sent an actor that looked like me to go pick up the awards. And I threw a party at my studio instead and celebrated with the people that came up with the work. And it was awesome. It was a great time. And the third thing that I did was I went to advertising, marketing conferences all around the world that I was supposed to go to, dressed like an absolute kook comic book character. And I was loved, and I was hated, and I was getting used to not caring about either one. I constantly made myself little assignments that I could do. I could go to these things and face my fears and get better. And I can happily tell you that after a year of all these exercises, I actually don't give a shit about what any of you think or what the press writes about me. I'm very, very, very happy. And it's unlocked a level of creativity I've never thought I had before. I'm coming up with my best stuff of my life right now, and it's awesome. The feeling itself of just coming up with it is awesome. Self-love, creativity, confidence, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't come from doing face masks. It comes from facing your greatest fears and realizing they're just not that bad. It comes from, you have to dive into the cave full of bats to become Batman. This is my second and last Batman reference, I promise you. Now, I don't want to be depressed or creatively burnt out to start taking action anymore. Now, I sit down every week and I write down my fears around my creativity and slowly create a list of how I'm going to dismantle them.